Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Adam Talks, a podcast that takes an alternative look at retirement. This is Adam Bergman, founder and CEO of IRA Financial. If you want to learn more, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on social media. Just search IRA Financial. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Adam Talks. I'm Adam Bergman, tax attorney and founder of IRA Financial. And on today's Adam Talks, I am sadly talking about the Roth IRA Cap is coming. And this is unfortunately looking like it can happen. If you asked me 3 months ago, 6 months ago, would it ever be possible for a cap to be put on a Roth IRA? I would say never. It's just something that's unimaginable. No other country in the world caps what someone could have in a retirement account in an aggregate basis. Definitely, it's just unthinkable that this could potentially happen in the United States. And yes, Senator Wyden of Oregon tried to get this passed in 2016. There was something called the RISE bill that came out in 2016. And there was just really no momentum. The Republicans had the ability to block it. The Democrats didn't control the House, Senate, and presidency like they do today. And it just never went anywhere. However, end of June, ProPublica published an article telling everyone about Peter Thiel, how he turned in a few $1,000s to several $1 billion. And that got the machine going in Washington. And Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon came back to the podium and said, it's coming back. I believe that there should be a cap on the Roth IRA. He, in 2016, proposed a $5 million cap aggregate for all your Roth IRA accounts. And he believes that that's something that should come back, or at least should become law. And he's going to propose that again. And the lawyers and lobbyists that I work with and I've interacted with actually think it's a done deal. Believe it or not, America, we're going to cap people's retirement wealth. Isn't that crazy? So I hope they're wrong. I hope things change. If you're listening to this and as shocked as I am, talk to your representatives, whether in the House, Senate. If you know anyone that could make a difference, please talk to them, especially if they're part of the Ways and Means Committee, the House Ways and Means Committee. Please talk to your representative. This is unimaginable, but potentially possible. So let me tell you about why this is just an awful idea. And yes, I'm super opinionated about this, and I am going to rant and ramble on this because, again, I was born in Canada. I love America. I always wanted to move to America. Why? Because it's a land of freedom. It's a land of opportunity. The beauty of this country is you have a dream, hard work, and you can make it. And there's no cap on how much you can make. Whether it's Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, who wasn't born in this country, you work hard, you have passion in what you're doing, you can do it. And you can make a difference, not just financially for yourself and your family, but also make a difference to this country and to the world. And we are now potentially capping someone's retirement wealth at $5 million. Is that crazy? And I'll go into some examples of why $5 million is just absolutely ridiculous. And even I'd be against a cap of $1 billion because I just don't think it's American to cap someone's wealth. Again, IRAs are subject to estate tax. The government is going to get 50% of this money back, okay, down the road. So it's not like the tax revenue is not going to be there. And what's going to happen? People are just going to buy life insurance. Once their $5 million is capped, they're going to start dumping money in life insurance, which is not capped and not subject to estate tax. And Senator Wyden and all his friends are going to wake up one day and say, what do we do? Now we just took away money that could have been subject to estate tax, and people are just dumping it into insurance policies that are exempt or could be exempt from estate tax by putting them in trust. So they think they're smart, they think they're making a difference, and they're wrong. So what are the numbers here? Well, believe it or not, in 2019, there's 497 taxpayers have $25 million or more in their IRA. Okay, less than 500 people out of 330 million people have $25 million or more. According to the latest numbers, people over 5 million are around 28,000. So again, this cap is only going to impact 28,000 people. According to Wyden and his friends, these are like the uber rich, which you'll see is not true. And they need to be punished because the intent of the retirement account is not to have people have uber wealth in their retirement account. But Senator Wyden doesn't realize that $5 million is not uber wealthy, and you are actually penalizing people that have saved their whole life and have made good investments. And it's super troubling. So as of 2019, there are 3,000 taxpayers that have Roth IRAs. So 28,000 people have Roth IRAs of, actually, let me retract that. 28,000 people have IRAs over 5 million, okay? Only 3,000 have Roth IRAs over 5 million. So I misspoke before. The numbers, I got these from two different sources. So 28,000 taxpayers have IRAs over 5 million. That includes traditional IRAs, SEP IRAs, simple IRAs. Out of those, only 3,000 taxpayers out of 330 million people have Roth IRAs over 5 million. And only 497 have over 25 million. So the bulk of the people have between 5 and 25 million bucks. They didn't steal the money. They worked hard, they saved it, and they invested it. And we are going to propose legislation to attack 3,000 people who did nothing wrong. Crazy, right? So what are we talking about here? $5 million cap, which is arbitrary. You know, who says $5 million is too much, right? Senator Wyden? Is he going to tell me that my house is too big, or my car is too nice, or I have too much money in the bank? My life insurance policy is too big? Where is this going? Is this a slippery slope that once they cap your Roth IRA, are they going to cap how much you can have in the bank, how much cash, how much treasuries you need to buy? Are they going to start capping people's wealth like Senator Warren wants to do, wealth tax? Why don't we just say you can never make more than $1 million a year? Who's telling you what is too much? Is $5 million too much? I can't leave that for my family. What happens if I have a disabled child who's going to need money? My wife's sick and doesn't have insurance and needs to pay for hospital bills. Who's to say 5 million's too little, too long, or too much? It's an arbitrary number, and it's wrong and un-American, and it's unimaginable that this is actually potentially going to happen. Again, this is all going to be subject to estate tax down the road. So if you die with $10 million in your Roth IRA, it goes tax-free to your spouse. When your spouse passes, okay, it is subject to estate tax. And if her estate, depending on where the threshold is, it will be subject to potentially 50% tax. So the IRS will get this money. Now, Peter Thiel did apply for citizenship in New Zealand, so he was trying to circumvent the estate tax. But for most of us, we are going to die in America as an American citizen, and we will have our IRAs be subject to estate tax, okay? So when you do die, you are able to pass all your wealth to your wife or your husband, your spouse, tax-free. But when they die, then it becomes subject to estate tax unless you have some generation skipping tax trust. But IRAs are not part of GST trusts, so the IRAs will be part of your estate, whereas life insurance would not be. So what will happen, I guarantee you this will happen, and it's going to start happening very quickly, is you're going to see a lot of wealthy people. And again, I don't think having $5 million means you're super wealthy. I think you're well off and you're have wealth, but it doesn't mean you're uber rich and we should penalize you for that. People just dump their extra cash into life insurance, and you can borrow against life insurance tax-free. And when you die, it's not part of your estate if it's in a trust or an LLC, and that's what's going to happen. And again, do we really want to punish successful investors? Roth IRAs, we know they're not just for the rich. It's going to actually de-incentivize people to save. I've started hearing this from clients already. Hey, the government can change the rules on us now, mid-game. Who's to say they can't just force us to buy treasuries, or just say, you know what, we're taxing all your IRAs, Roth or traditional, or you have to take all your IRAs and income. Who's to say they can't just change the rules as we go? And I have a dear friend who told me that, hey, Adam, the reason I don't invest in Roth IRAs is that you don't remember this, but before 1982, and I've mentioned this before on my podcast, Social Security was not taxable. That changed in 82. So his belief is if they can do that, they can do anything. and he'd rather get the deduction up front, make a traditional IRA contribution. They can't take away the deduction because it was already received when you file your return. And if they want to tax the IRA down the road, well, they could anyway. So he feels safer in a traditional IRA, and it's going to really impact retirement investors. People are not going to trust the system because they're changing the rules. And I think a lot of people will just say, why should I save in an IRA, Roth IRA? I'll do either life insurance or I'll just put it in the bank or spend it because the government's just going to get the money anyways. So let me give you some examples, and you'll see this is craziness. So if you put $5,000 in an IRA, Roth IRA from 21 to age 72, and you got a 10% rate of return annualized, you would have over $7 million at age 72. Is that abusive? Are we penalizing those people? $5,000 a year, 21 to 72, 10% rate of return, $7 million. So we're penalizing those people, right? You're going to make that person, once they hit 5 million, stop contributing and stop receiving any benefits and having to take the rest into income. Is that right? All this person did is put $5,000 in from 20 to 72, 21, got a 10% rate of return, which is good. Okay, that's really good, but it's possible. We've seen it. And they got $7 million. Now, what about if they put $5,500 in from 25 to 72, 10% rate of return, $5.2 million? Is that abusive? No, of course not. This is someone who just saved 25 to 72, 10% rate of return, $5.2 million. Okay, this is without 401k rollovers. This is without buying Tesla or Bitcoin or hitting a home run. This is just, steady doubles, 10% rate of return. You have over $5 million. They're going to cap your Roth IRA and penalize you. It's bad. It's bad. It's bad. Bad for all of us. It's bad for America. It's bad for retirement savers. And it's tragic that this could actually become law. And it's something that disturbs me to no end because it goes against the whole fabric of this great country of, hey, you have a dream, you have hard work, you can do it. I've always told my kids, start early, save. You can have huge wealth when you're older. Well, guess what? They can't. The system lied. They want to cap this. Now, other people may say, $5 million is a lot of money. It's a lot of money. You don't need that. Well, who's to say that's true or not? Now, who knows where inflation's going to be? When is Senator Wyden and his team in 10 years going to be like, okay, we'll raise it to $6 million. Is that what we want? They're going to determine how much money we need in retirement to live off? Most people's savings are tied to their retirement account, right? Most people are cash poor, retirement rich. So $5 million is all we can have? If I started saving in a Roth IRA, my whole net worth is $5 million plus my house or whatever else I own personally. But my bulk of my savings is an IRA because the system was developed and designed to make us and incentivize us to save. And now you're going to cap us and limit us and say, no, you can't have more than $5 million. So if I have a disabled child, my wife is sick, I need to do something, I got to pay expenses, and I want to leave a legacy to my family, that's not good. I can't do it, right? Because the government thinks it's too much money. So should Jeff Bezos, should we just cap how much Amazon can make each year? Should we cap what Microsoft can make, what Google can make? Should we start capping CEOs' pays? What about, let's cap doctors' pays, right? Let's cap lawyers' pays. They're making too much money. You make $1 million a year? Senator Wyden, someone makes $1 million a year, should we cap it? So this is just wrong. It's unmanageable. I can't believe that it has the potential to pass, but with the Democrats, and again, this is not a political podcast. I have nothing against the Democrats in a lot of cases. I voted Democrat in the past. I voted Republican. I'm totally bipartisan. I vote for the candidate and issues, and they are making a big mistake. So hopefully Biden and the more moderate side of the Democrats will see this as a total failure and far-fetched ploy to try to stick it to the uber rich, which again, if you want to go after the uber rich, the estate tax will get them. You're going to get 50% of Bezos as well. Don't worry. You want to raise the income tax for over $100 million to 70%? Go for it. It's wrong. We'll go for it. I don't care. I don't make $100 million a year. If you're out here trying to attack the uber rich, the Peter Thiels, the Bezos, those guys, there's better ways to do it. Okay. They don't care about their Roth IRA, but you're hurting it for everyone else. So yeah, Peter Thiel is an extreme example. Extreme. He's probably the only one in the country that has over $1 billion in the Roth IRA, right? There's only less than 500 people that have over 25 million. Now, there's only 3,000 with over 5 million. So we're not talking about a lot of people. And I have a bunch that have over 5 million in a Roth IRA, and they're not uber rich people. They're people that made good investments, whether they flipped a few homes, they bought Tesla stock. I have a guy, again, that turned 800 grand to 40 million doing cryptos over the last 5 years. I have someone I did a podcast on a week or so ago that took 400 grand to over 30 million, investing in a unicorn pre-IPO stock. Is that wrong? We're penalizing these people? What's going on here? So this is just overreaching by the government. It's super questionable and phony, and it's dubious. And I'm losing I'm losing synonyms because I just can't believe that this is something that is possibly going to happen. So the idea is that this something can be stuck into a bill, some tax retirement legislation as part of budget reconciliation, which they can stick in. All they need is majority in the Senate, which they can have. And they control the House, and they obviously control the presidency. So if Biden signs this, he signs it. And if it gets stuck in a bill, it's possible. And I won't even go into some of the other crazy stuff that Senator Wyden proposed. It's even crazier than the cap. But he really wants to go after, he's hell-bent on nailing the uber rich. He just doesn't understand that he's going to hurt everyday Americans that want to save in a retirement account. And he's going to change people's perceptions of the retirement system and the government's focus and concentration on supporting the system by having them change the rules mid-game. And again, there's even talk about not having a grandfather rule, right? Because they want to go after Peter Thiel, so they can't grandfather him in, right? Why would they can't do that? Because the whole idea is to punish the Peter Thiels of the world. So they're going to actually retroactively go after people's Roth IRA and make you pull all the money out over $5 million. I don't think they can tax it, but there's no guidance. What do you do if someone's 40 years old, right? Under 59 and a half, they have $7 million in a Roth IRA. You make them pull out the other money, $2 million tax-free. You're going to penalize them? You're going to tax? What's going on here? You're changing the rules. So I'm hopeful this doesn't become law. It's our job to make noise about this. I'm working on editorials. If you have ideas, let me know. I've talked to a bunch of congressmen about this. Unfortunately, they're not in the House and Ways and Means Committee, so they have limited power. But Wyden can get this in. He's got some momentum. There's definitely a push from the left side of the Democratic Party to get this in, and nothing can stop him other than us, right? The public saying, no, this is wrong and you can't do this. And if Wyden feels like it can hurt his election chance or hurt his party's chance, maybe he doesn't push it. But right now he's certainly focused on getting this pushed, and we'll know more in the coming months. And I will keep you guys up to date. I'm sorry if I'm ruining your day whenever you're listening to this. It's ruined my last week or so when I kind of talked to our lawyers and lobbyists about this. I was shocked. I actually did not think that this could be possible. I spoke to a client of mine who asked me about this, and I was like, it's not going to pass. But everything changed with that ProPublica article in June. It shifted, and now they have the ammunition, the example they could use to show that how abusive the system is, even though we're talking about a handful of people that didn't abuse it, right? The Irish tried to audit Thiel. They couldn't find anything. There was no abuse. Who's to say what is too much or too little in a retirement account? I didn't think we were about capping people's wealth. And $1 billion is a lot of money, but he didn't do anything illegally. He invested in 3 public companies pre-IPO at early stages. Now, he just did in a Roth IRA. If he did it personally, same thing. He would have paid capital gains tax. They would have got some cash. But they're going to get a state tax on whether it's Peter Thiel or you or me. And they may have to wait for it, but the estate tax is over 50% if you include state tax. So they're going to get their money. They're going to wait for it, but they're going to get it. And what they're going to do now is they're going to create hysteria, and people are going to move out of the retirement system and potentially just buy life insurance or do different avenues of tax planning and retirement planning to get around a cap once they hit it. Yeah, you may be thinking, well, I'm never going to have $5 million in a Roth IRA. Who gives a crap? You never know. If you make some investments, listen, if you bought Tesla and Bitcoin and you started with $1 million, yeah, you may have 3.5, 4 million now, 2 years later. So it's not unthinkable that your IRA can grow. And we know there's inflation. We know the market's been moving. Again, my example shows $5,000 a year from 21 to 72, 10% rate of return, you got $7 million. So yeah, you can make the argument, yeah, the cap will be much higher in 50 years. Okay, maybe not. Who's to say? The $50,000 loan amount, that hasn't changed in many years, okay, even with inflation. So there's no proof and there's no guarantee that Congress or the IRS will increase a cap if it ever becomes law. So let's fight it. Let's do what we can and make sure this doesn't happen, because it would be catastrophic. So I hope I didn't ruin your day. I'm sorry. I'll keep writing about this. I'll keep talking about it. I hope you guys feel the same way. If you don't, I respect your opinion. I disagree with it, but that's the beauty of this country, right? We can respectfully disagree with each other, and we also have the freedom and the power to build a future for our families and ourselves, and use the retirement system to help us do so. So I truly hope that continues and the government does not stick its neck into something it really has no business doing, especially when the tax revenue will be there down the road when it's subject to estate tax. So thank you again for listening. Subscribe if you haven't. I got some good content on the way, I promise. And have a wonderful rest of your week. Talk to you again soon.